Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Honor Vlog. I'm Kay Williams, author of Blue Honor, a Civil War drama, op-dec Operation Deceit, World War II spy thriller, and this book series here, the Trilokia trilogy. That's number 1. Number 2 over here, Burning Down, and Lucent Rise is number 3. That's my most recent release. Taken a little bit of a hiatus as I'm raising my daughter. I had her in 2017 and she is 6 now this year. It's been quite a journey. I shouldn't say that I'm taking a hiatus. I'm doing what I can via social media and the blog, the vlog. So I have a lot to do. I am keeping up with Zoduck and a lot of other things. The sequel to op-dec, which I'm calling Op-Go, Operation Ghost, is it's in drafting. It is completed. However, you know, with authors, we always need to do draft, redraft, draft. I found a fantastic meme that shows a woman like headbutting those ocean you know, the back of a tractor trailer, the trailer piece, those ocean shipping containers. That's the word, the shipping containers. And she's got it dented in. And somebody commented, this was on LinkedIn, the title of the meme is a true to life visual of the 9th draft. Not just, I laughed, that was very funny. But that is not what we're talking about today. As you can see, it is spooky season, my favorite time of year. So I wanted to talk about an old entry on my blog, which actually happened in January of 2016. So probably about that time I was closing down on whatever season of Walking Dead, and I just wanted to kind of unpack that in my brain a little bit. It was always a very intense show. I liked it very much. I think the greatest strength of it was showing sociological, psychological aspects of humanity. It's never really about the zombies. It's always about humanity and the way that we will act in our worst of situations. There are those who will take complete advantage and become absolute animals. There are those who will become heroes. There are those who are just struggling to survive, people who are not going to make it, a whole litany of things. And it really shows the absolute depths of horror that we are capable of as a species and the absolute amazing accomplishments that we can achieve when we work together as a community. And it really showed that individualism versus community, and how individualism, while it's good to always maintain and take care of your own shit and do what you need to do and, you know, just, you know, work hard, do what's right, etc. Working in a community is priceless. And as a species, that's really how we're geared. We have to come to work together. Even the bad guys created community. Negan, some of those other bands and stuff that were out there marauding. The horror that some of the characters saw, like that house where they had the women dismembered and were using them as, I don't even want to say it. What a nightmare. I mean, that was jarring, to say the least. I mean, yeah, they'll be out there. If everything falls to crap, those types will be out there. And a gun isn't always going to fix it. You know what I mean? All these people who sit there and say, oh, just arm yourself. You won't be armed and ready 24/7, and they'll know it and they'll watch. That's how it works now. We know. what protects you is the threat of justice against them, the threat of somebody doing something against them should they act out of line. Not necessarily the police. Could be fear of a mob, fear of family members coming after them, fear of the victim themselves rising up. There's a number of things that keep people in line when they want to do bad things and yet don't, and it takes a series of circumstances for them to feel like, oh, well, I can do this. That's why they victimize children. They feel powerful in that scenario. They feel like nobody's going to do anything against them. The laws protect them. No one will believe the child's just making up, things like that. So it takes a series of things for someone to feel like, oh, well, I can just do whatever. So when society falls apart, there's your series of things, and they feel like, who's going to stop me? So as long as you have community, people tend to act with more respect. Tend to. Not everyone is wired that way. But like I spoke in this article, and it's titled Walkers, Deadites, and Reanimators. So kind of talking about that whole zombie thing. There's just people who are going to devolve when given the chance, because that's who they really want to be. And we always fall back on who we really are at our core in the worst of situations. So those people that you see rise up, the people who stay calm and take on the situation, people who do what needs to be done, the protector, the fighter, etc., etc. Essentially, it gets down to who you really are. And, you can talk, well, Negan was miserable because his wife had died of cancer, and he was just devastated by that, and it made him ugly, an ugly person, and he created ugliness out there. He wanted others to feel as poorly as he did. That's still not a justification. At his core, he is still an asshole. A murderous, rampaging asshole. And it's really kind of bizarre to see, after he killed Glenn, walking around New York with Maggie. I'm just like, I don't know what it would take for her to be okay with that. I know she has a goal, so when you have something in mind that you need to accomplish, there's a number of things that you will, that cognitive dissonance steps in, and you'll do the thing. You'll do the thing. But like I just saw a Black Mirror episode. I believe it was Josh Hartnett and Aaron Paul, and they're astronauts, and there's this really cool thing where they can link up with their android self and visit home and their loved ones. Josh Hartnett's family is Manson familyed in the course of this, and he loses his mind, even though Aaron Paul's family is trying to help him. And then he turns around and does the same thing to Aaron Paul's family. Sorry, spoiler. Eek. I probably shouldn't have talked about that, but it's been out, I think, long enough now. People know. Anyway, I'll put an alert below. That was harsh. And I'm just like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't believe that the space agency, that NASA would ever send out a 2-man mission ever again that requires at least 2 men to be operable, working on things. I would think that they would send at least 4. I would think that there would be ways for them to recreate a link up so that, he may have to wait like a little while, but they have like a spare android or something on deck for him. And, just please be careful with your android, because this is the other one that we have, and, we're not going to be able to create another one and map the link correctly for a while yet, so take care. That sort of thing. There were some holes for me that I would have thought of. There should have been 4 to 6 people on that manned mission, all capable of taking somebody else's job, or any of the jobs, trained completely around everything. But to me, that was kind of another exploration in the horror that is what man is capable of. And that is essentially what horror gets to. What are we capable of at our worst? What can push us to our worst? And are we going to rise to... Sorry, I have probably a pet hair on my face. That's why I keep doing that. Finny's hair gets everywhere. What will push our buttons and make us crack, and just forget all of those, stop gaps or whatever it is that keeps us in check, acting respectable, following norms, when all of those fears of losing whatever we could lose that hold us in check, even when we think down to our very essence, I'm a decent person, I don't need faith, I don't need laws, I don't need the rule of law, I don't need anything to hold me in line, I'm just naturally a good person. Yes, I believe you 100%, but there are things that can happen to you that can loosen those bolts, and they can change you substantially. I mean, psychotherapists would tell you clearly. You may think that you're a good person, but when it comes to trauma, you'll be surprised what you're capable of or how it changes you. And it really does. And that's essentially what horror is examining, is the trauma and atrocities and the scary things. And we're in a time where we don't really believe in monsters, even though, this year they're talking about aliens and UAPs and all of that. And that could make some people just finally lose all of those controls that they had carefully put in place. Now they're just like, what does it matter anymore? And that's the sense. What does it matter anymore? And they just off they go, and the rules no longer apply. But what I was going to say is, these are the things that terrify us, these changes. So the possibility of alien life out there now, what is it? How is it going to interact with us? What is it interested in? Where do we now fall? Some people may feel that they're losing their faith, that their faith can no longer stand and abide by this. If this is true, then this is no longer true. I don't agree. I think it can still stand, and people shouldn't worry about that. If your religion cannot stand up against something else being true, that's where you need to start making adjustments. And you really shouldn't be deciding the future of other human beings who may or may not abide by that religion when there are those questions. And you can't just use the excuse, well, it's faith. Again, here we go with the what are we capable of with trauma, things that we learn, think that we know, etc. What horrors are we capable of as beings? But I find that endlessly fascinating, and I do explore a little bit of that within Triloquia, with Holly and stuff, that despite all of the traumas that she has, and she has some serious healing journey that she has to go through, which means that other things have to be on hold, who she is at her core could change. And it's terrifying to her, because she wants to believe that she is genuinely a good person, probably doesn't deserve to suffer, probably doesn't deserve to have gone through some of the things that she has gone through. It has happened. Why has it happened? And processing that whole thing, and learning to trust, and all sorts of things, coming her way. Love and loss, a lot of trauma, and she rises up and refuses to be changed from her essential core, who she is. She's like, this is who I am, and the things that have happened to me will not define that. I will take that knowledge and that experience, enhance myself, use that in an empathetic way with others, and also to battle against those horrid things. To sit there and say, this is what you are capable of, and this is why you need to change. You know, you did something evil. And people may go, well, who gets to judge evil? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that sexual assault is pretty evil. And when somebody commits that against you, there is no excuse for it. None whatsoever. And all of the things that Dominic and Jet do against Mile and Holly are truly terrible. If you don't feel that way, I don't know what to tell you. Abusing children and spouses, sexually assaulting them, controlling them, misleading them, betraying them, all of that. Not a good look. Did a series of things happen? Was he traumatized? Were they traumatized, Jet and Dominic? What happened to them to release them from whatever rules and values they thought that they had, to allow this portion of themselves to come forward and grow larger? So in the course of the story, of course, you learn that he had this inclination, and some of the things that happened to him just kind of enhanced those inclinations, and he just didn't put a lot of energy into fighting it, because that felt like who he was, and that's what he wanted to do, regardless of the hurt and horror that he causes others. What do you do with that? Walking Dead and other shows like it kind of explore that. What do you do with that? Maggie and Negan are now exploring New York City and doing their thing. And it's just like that question just hangs out there. What does Maggie do with everything? And what does Negan do with everything that he has, his bag of stuff? It's so fascinating. I don't know that there is an answer, because everything has its gray areas and nuances, and each situation is unique. But it is an interesting mental exercise. It's perfect for spooky season because it takes you to really dark places. So when you're watching horror, anything, even Hellraiser, because Hellraiser delves into that, as you know, Pinhead had experiences, etc., and it changed him, made him into Pinhead, and this whole thing then occurred, and all of this other stuff. So when you watch those, probably not killer clowns from outer space, but I don't know, maybe the clowns experienced some trauma, bad cotton candy, I don't know. I love that movie though. Some things are just a farce. But when you're watching like really good horror, Frankenstein, Walking Dead, Hellraiser, think about that. Explore that. And I think it's just really interesting to think about, little philosophy lessons in there. All right. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that button down below. I want to see you back here next time. Let's see what we're talking about then. Oh, another old blog, my tool chest, thesaurus, that word. We're going to talk about the thesaurus and the uses and abuses of the thesaurus by writers. So I will catch you back here next time. Thanks for watching.